Hello and welcome to Storytime. My name is Orla and I work in Kilmihil Library, and today I'm going to read the next bit of Going Potty written by Eoin Colfer, and I'm just giving you a quick look at my own, one shelf of my own bookshelf, and a mix of everything, and really popular books for all ages are the Harry Potter ones, and they're ones I would recommend that you might ever read one day. And this is Jessie, and she's going to listen to me reading Going Potty today. So we are going to finish Going Potty, and this is written by Eoin Colfer, illustrated by Woody, and it's published by O'Brien Press, and they've kindly allowed us to read this online for all of you to listen to. So we are on to chapter 3, and it's called Down the Corridor. After the holidays, Ed had to go back to school. Usually Ed liked school, but this year was different. When you went into first class, everything changed. No more playing in the junior yard with the jungle gym and hopscotch squares. No more home time before the big children. Yeah? There's the hopscotch squares. And worst of all, no more using the special toilets in the infant's room. Now that you were 7, it was down the corridor into the big boys' toilet. At the school, Ed climbed out of the car. He had a plan. His plan was not to go to the toilet until he got home. By the end of maths, Ed knew this plan was not going to work. A little pain in his belly was telling him to go to the toilet, and fast. Ed raised his hand and waved it too, so the teacher would know he had to see her right now. Well, Ed, she said. He felt his face going red. I need to... But that was all he could say. It was no good. His lips had closed tight. Quickly, Ed wrote a message for the teacher. Okay, Ed, Miss Byrne whispered, you can go. Next time, just wink twice like this. Like a code, said Ed. That's right, like a code, said Miss Byrne. Ed walked down the corridor to the boys' toilet. It was blue and covered with tiles. It was like a swimming pool. Ed held his breath and pretended he was diving into the water. This wasn't so bad, he thought. He could make the toilets into a game too. There was no one inside and no noise except the gurgle of water. Hello, said Ed to himself in the mirror. And he gave himself a little wave, and mirror Ed waved right back. Then the pain in Ed's belly reminded him why he was there. Look at that gurgle, gurgle, rumble. And he went into the cubicle. There was a lock on the door, but the catch was missing. This worried Ed because someone could come in. And the toilet itself was big. There could be a frog living in there. Ed shivered. He didn't like frogs that he couldn't see. Do you see in there? Then Ed heard footsteps in the hall, and he imagined shoes banging down the corridor on their own with legs sticking out of them and no boys on tops of the legs. He's a great imagination. But there were boys, and they were talking and laughing, and they were coming in here, thought Ed, into this very cubicle. Suddenly Ed didn't want to go to the toilet anymore. Taking a deep breath, Ed threw open the toilet, ran out of the big boys' toilet. He didn't even stop to say goodbye to Mirror Ed on the way past. He was never coming back. Never, 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 never. He would just have to hold on until he got home. Now, chapter 4. Holding on until Ed got home was a big problem, especially after lunch. Ed wished that he could take his potty to school so he wouldn't get pains in his tummy. One day, Miss Byrne asked Ed a question. Ed, she asked, can you spell ambulance? But Ed could only think about one thing these days. Potty, he shouted at the top of his voice. Miss Byrne blinked. Pardon, Ed? Magella Dempsey stood up, even though you're supposed to get permission. He said potty, miss. Ed, Cooper said potty. The whole class laughed then, and Miss Byrne had to tinkle her quiet bell before they calmed down. Poor Ed felt terrible. What did you say, Ed? Ed could feel his face going red. He had said potty, but he couldn't say it again, not with everybody listening to him. If only he could think of a word that rhymed with potty, and then he could pretend he'd said that, but all he could think of was botty, and that was worse than potty. Lucky for Ed, the bell for home time rang, and after school he ran straight out of the car without even stopping to talk to his friends. Zoom! Later in Gran's, Ed was thinking about how the potty had saved Uncle Pat. He touched the potty. It felt smooth under his finger. Maybe, he thought. Gran, he asked. Yes, Ed. Do you think the potty could help me? And Gran laughed. Maybe if you have a potty kind of problem. Ed's cheeks turned bright red again. He didn't like talking about the toilet, not to anyone. So Ed began to write his story down. By the time he was finished, Ed had written 4 full pages and he handed them to Gran. Gran put on her glasses and began to read. Ed looked up at her to see if she was laughing. She wasn't. Gran was reading very carefully. Do you know what, Ed, she said. I think that maybe the potty can help you after all. Chapter 5, Potty in Disguise. On Monday, Ed had to go back to school and he was hoping that it would snow and he could stay home, but it didn't snow. The sun shone in a clear sky like a big blob of orange paint. Miss Byrne was waiting for Ed at the classroom door. Good morning, Ed. His teacher knelt down so her face was beside Ed's. Good morning, teacher. A little birdie told me that you don't like using the big boy's toilet. Ed just knew his face was going red. Well now, said Miss Byrne, I think we'll have to do something about that. She took Ed's hand and led him down the corridor. Ed knew where they were going. Oh no, Miss Byrne was going to bring him into the toilet just like an infant. But Miss Byrne stopped the door. Now, Ed, she said, I want you to go in. Oh, no. Ed shook his head. He didn't want to go in. Don't worry, Ed. Everything will be all right. Use the cubicle in the middle. I think there's a surprise for you in there. So Ed went in. He looked around to check he was on his own. There was only him and the Ed in the mirror. The mirror, Ed looked scared, but he couldn't run away. Miss Byrne was watching him. Ed pushed open the cubicle door and stepped inside. The first thing he noticed was a new catch on the door. Now he could lock the big boys out. This made him feel much better. There was still the toilet though, and maybe a frog inside it. Then Ed saw his surprise. Someone had painted flowers, look, all over the rim of the toilet. Lovely colourful flowers, just like on Gran's potty. It was as though the potty was disguised as a school toilet, just for him. Ed climbed up on the toilet and he could feel the flowers under his fingers. He wasn't one bit afraid anymore. This was like being at Gran's. The potty had saved him like Gran said it would. After school, Ed went to visit Gran. Ed ran into the kitchen. The wind chimes sang when he opened the door. Gran, you'll never guess. Guess what, Ed? The potty saved me. But then he stopped. Who had painted flowers on the potty when it broke in two? Gran had. Gran winked at Ed. What flowers? Ed knew that she was joking because of the smile on her face and because of the jar of paintbrushes sitting in rainbow water. Ed ran and gave his grandmother a big hug. Thanks, Gran, he said. Gran pushed her grandson's hair back with her fingers. You're welcome, Ed, she whispered. The end. Now, they're lovely stories. They're the O'Brien Flyers. That was written by Eoin Colfer, illustrated by Woody and published by O'Brien Press. And there's plenty of these to choose from in all your local libraries. Thank you for listening, and we will have another story next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.